Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our monthly Entrepreneur Ecosystem Coffee Break, presented in partnership with Navigate Small Business. My name is Carol Spicer, and I'm the owner and founder of Spicer Facilitation and Learning. Joining you today from the beautiful, sunny, somewhat sunny at times, but mostly snowy Pasadena, which is on the ancestral lands of the Beothuk. Ask that you take a moment to reflect on the lands that you're joining us from, and take into consideration our Indigenous people in our province, the Innu, Inuit, and Mi'kmaq. And with that, I'm going to turn it to Allison Rowe, who is the manager at Navigate Small Business and is the sponsor of today's event. And Allison, take it away.
Okay, so I see actually a lot of new faces on here today. So I'd like to welcome everyone. For those of you who are not familiar with Navigate, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of our services. So Navigate is a program that's a partnership between Grenfell campus and the Corner Brook College of the North Atlantic campus. And we offer assistance to early stage entrepreneurs, students, entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, and people who already have businesses who want to accelerate or expand or pivot. And so in terms of the early stage, we help people right through from ideation to business idea validation. We also can help with prototype and product development. And then we can help with commercialization and launch businesses, as well as expansion, as I mentioned earlier. And we do that through our 3 service pillars. So Navigate, for early stage entrepreneurs, we have the entrepreneurship centers, which are located both at Grenfell campus and CNA Corner Brook campus. We have a makerspace that's located at Grenfell campus, and we also have a business incubator with resident office spaces and a co-working space located at the CNA campus. And I should mention that right now, with COVID, our physical spaces are closed, but we're still supporting entrepreneurs virtually. So I will put my contact information over in chat. If anyone is looking for support, connection to resources, etc., by all means, please reach out. I'd be happy to help.
Excellent. Thank you, Allison. So absolutely, we do have some new folks here with us today, and we're really pleased to have you here. I'm going to direct you over to chat. So you may have a little control panel that may have collapsed on you, and it's typically on the right-hand side. At the top, there's a little arrow if you expand that out. And just scroll down and find chat and click on the little plus sign next to chat to open it up. Allison's just put in her contact info. If everyone can just do a quick hello in chat, perhaps give us the organization you're with or your business and the community you're in. I'm just sort of a quirky nerd. I always like to know where we're reaching people. And so if you could just pop that in for us, that would be great. We do keep the chat information. So if you want to put in your business connections or any social media, please put that in, because Allison will compile that. And we'll talk a little bit later as well about some of the resources that Navigate can offer entrepreneurs. So for those that are new, what is the Entrepreneur Ecosystem Coffee Break? So this is started as a pilot a year ago. Prior to COVID, we took the in-person coffee shop talk, and Allison and I sort of drafted up a pilot to go virtual, because we realized that not everyone is able to always connect in a physical location. And so we ran it for 3 months of a pilot. March hit, and we decided, well, it worked so well, and we now have COVID, that we're continuing. So we are now in, I think this is our 14th session. So we're going strong, and we're building our audience each and every month, which is fantastic. So the purpose of it really is that research has shown that the entrepreneur ecosystem thrives when people talk to one another. And so not just the support agencies, which as an entrepreneur we can't do without. So folks like, I see Deb here from Enlo, and Allison from Navigate, and others from government and so on that help and support us. But we need to talk to one another as entrepreneurs, and we learn from one another, and this informal piece around supporting each other and learning from one another is really where I know I have thrived in the last 3 years in my business is talking to many of you that are on this call and others as well, and some other networks that I have that really have helped me in my early stage of my journey. So each month we have a different theme. Sometimes we have a full formal panel. We record the sessions. The sessions are posted on all of Navigate's social media platforms. So if you're interested in seeing it of any of our others, certainly make your way to Navigate's YouTube channel or follow any of their social media, and you can see the links to the recordings. And I also would imagine, Allison, they're probably on your new website.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm linked into there as well.
Yeah.
So this month we decided to talk about grit. Allison actually came across some really fantastic information, and we got to be honest, we're kind of using you as a little bit of a guinea pig here to test, because we want to know if there's an interest in this topic. We're actually looking at possibly developing a full workshop on developing grit. So, you know, 2 to 3 hour more of a formal workshop presentation. But we thought we'd do a little bit of a teaser on it today and get people talking about it. And one of the ladies that came to my mind was Miss Connie Boland, who either graduated with or very close to getting her degree with her daughter. And I can imagine that that was quite a challenge and quite a journey. And Connie's a writer, so I anticipate that she'll be able to take us on a little story here this morning. So Connie, I'm going to throw it over to you, and I'm just going to ask you to share a little bit about your grit story, and then we're going to open it up to everyone else, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. And welcome, and thank you for agreeing to come on today.
No problem. Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Good. Yep. I'm on a different computer. I'm in a different room. So I kind of got myself out of the basement where I kind of tend to stay most of the time. Let me think. I started university in 2006. I didn't see myself as a university student. I actually was a journalism graduate. Never considered even going back to school, but I applied for a job. I had left the Western Star at the time, and I applied for a job at the university. I was going to diversify, and it came down to 2 candidates, myself, who had the experience, and another lovely lady who had the degree. So the deal was I could have the job if I did a few university courses, and I did, and I loved it. It got my brain thinking, I guess, again. And for, I'd say, the first 2 years, it was great. I was doing a BBA. I took my daughter to classes with me, especially my economics classes, because I'm not math minded. So she went to instructional assistance courses with me, and she went to tutoring with me. And I'd say I had the degree done, but maybe 10 courses out, and I hit math. Oh my, there's a reason writers don't do math, we write. So I did the math placement test and failed 5 times. I did a fundamentals course and failed. And then I tried a couple more things and I just gave up. So I started to do some education courses then, because my thinking was if I wait long enough, Memorial will drop the math part of a business degree, which they didn't do. So long story short, I got away from courses because Kennedy got older, life got busier. She was a competitive skater. We were on the road every weekend. And I think when you do courses at a certain age, you want to do well. So I remember being in class one day, and the guy in front of me, we were getting an exam back, turned around and said, "My mom is going to kill me if I don't pass this course." And I remember thinking then, okay, I need to take a break from this because I could be your mother. So I walked away, and then fast forward to 2019, lost my job, devastated. I was working with provincial government. I hadn't been unemployed since 1987. I cried, I got mad, I hiked, I lost 30 pounds. And then my mother sat me down and she said, "Go back to what you love." And I thought, my 2 loves are writing, which I had kind of gotten away from because corporate writing is a lot different than journalistic writing, and education. So I remember it was October. I had missed all the registration dates. I called Mon and said, "Oh my God, you guys got to let me back. I'm floundering." And I got in. And they did analysis for me. It's not right, that's not what you call it, but anyway, they did an analysis on 2 of my degrees. I was 7 away from my BBA and 5 away from education. So I said, okay, I'm going to finish my education degree. And at the time, it just so happened that the pandemic hit. So the one course that I needed had to go online, and that's why I finished my degree. So in 2000, last year, a year ago, I graduated. Couldn't do the walk across the stage, which was too bad, but we had a party, a socially distanced party here, which is family. And Kennedy was a 3rd-year student, but I don't know how it worked out, but anyway, so she'll graduate this year, but we managed to rig it so that we got our cap and gowns picture done together. We met a really nice photographer who said, I can't let you guys do this together because social distancing, but you know what? If my back is turned and somebody slips a graduation gown on and I don't see it, then we don't know about it. So Kennedy and I got our graduation pictures done together. I actually graduated and she will graduate in a month. And I got to tell you, when someone hands you, even though the diploma came in the mail, it was still pretty cool because it had been 12 years. I was 53 at the time when I graduated. So it was a pretty wild journey, and going back and doing those courses coupled with going back into the writing was really kind of neat. I met some really wonderful people who helped me along the way. I did my practicum. The thing with mine is with your education degree, I did post-secondary, and I needed to do a practicum, and because of the pandemic, couldn't get into a classroom, but I did it with the local literacy council, and it was one of the most amazing things I'd ever did. We managed to get a few sessions in before the pandemic hit. And I got to tell you, boss, like if you ever get a chance to tutor with LABAC literacy or with any organization, it is probably, other than finishing my degree, it was probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, and I'm still tutoring. So I guess just working into so many different things happened once I made that decision to go back to school, to tutoring, and just meeting all these people and being online and meeting wonderful people who were going through the same journey I was, and just learning how to academic write again. And because it's very different from what I did. So I guess that's my story. And my daughter, like I said, she'll graduate in 3 weeks. She's moving away, which is too bad, but that happens when they grow up. And yeah, so she went from being in an SI course with her mom to actually teaching SI. She teaches pharmacology and a couple more nursing courses that I don't know what it is, but sound really cool. And that's my story. So now I'm a writer. I went back to writing about 9 months ago. I started my own business. Just landed my 3rd contract a half an hour ago. Because I do write a lot. I write for Down Home magazine. I write for Atlantic Business. I write for things, but this is new to me. This going out and landing a contract for content writing and being able to tell people's story. This is new to me, and I love it. The people I've met, the lady that called me this morning, and she said, "Yep, you're exactly what I want." She's, my 2nd contact in St. John's, and such a neat feeling that someone puts their trust in you. And I get that through my writing, because when you tell someone's story, the other day, I don't know if you guys know Billy Walsh's story. She's based out of Fleur de Lis. I interviewed her the other day for a totally different project, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, but she's the kind of person that when someone lets you tell their story, they're putting their trust in you, because the way journalism writes is we don't share our stories until they come out in print. And this is kind of the same thing, that you have someone who's saying to you, yes, please tell my story. I trust you. I trust that you're going to get it right. It's just such a neat feeling that, people are just willing to do that for you. And yeah, so it's pretty cool to have your 3rd contract too, because doing this business thing is pretty scary. So I'm learning to roll with it, right? So I like it. And I'm a Navigate client. And I've also Carol was actually one of the first people I think I told that I wanted to go into business, because I had heard about Carol. We had a long coffee break when coffee breaks were in person. I think I shook and cried and did it all. And here I am, still very nervous, still very new, still very learning every single day. I'm a member of NLO as well. And just having a good ride, I gotta say. It's lonely sometimes in your basement. So, but it's cool. Things like this are good. It's good to get out. I gotta tell you the truth. 9 o'clock this morning, I was gonna cancel. I was gonna call Carol and say, I can't do this. I'm not good at it, but here I am, and I made myself do it because, again, it's important to get out there, to get out of your basement, to tell your story and share your story, because you expect people to share yours. But like I was going to come up with computer issues, and the cat was going to get sick. But here I am, full disclosure all the time, right? So I'm glad.
Oh, you make me laugh, Connie. You've come a long way since our coffee break, since our coffee session. And I'm so proud of you. And she messaged me the other day to say she had got a repeat client. And I shared with her that wonderful feeling when the client comes back, because it is about trust and it's about relationships and it's about connections. And when they come back to you, I had a lady call me this week. She said, I was going to go somewhere else, but you're kind of my first go-to. Do you even do this? And I said, yeah, I can do that. And by the end of the phone call, we had a contract. So it's really exciting when those kinds of things happen.
Yeah.
So certainly lots of grit, lots of turns and twists as you go through. So I thought I'd ask everyone just over in chat, or you can open up your mic, how would you define grit? So Connie's kind of got us thinking, listening to, her story. But how would you define grit? And you can type it in chat or open up your mic. Give me a moment to find your chat again.
I can start.
Sure, go ahead.
Soon as you said it, Carol, soon as you said you guys were starting this and gonna feel us out on, maybe doing sessions around that topic.
Mm-hmm.
Grit takes courage,
mm-hmm.
To stay the course. And, we're hearing all about resilience and pivoting and all that. And none of that is possible without grit,
mm-hmm.
because, it's where you're down with the dirt, right? You're down with the gravel, and that's what grit is. So I love it, and I can't wait to take part.
Excellent.
I'll be there.
Sharon, you will. Excellent. Thank you.
Sharon, in that vein, part of the reason why we went with grit is back when the pandemic first hit, we had a session around building resilience, which we felt was, really timely given what everyone was going through and just being able to go with the flow of what was happening. But then the second lockdown hit. And it's like you get to a point where you need more than resilience because your batteries are low, and grit gets you there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you. Some great comments in chat there too, folks. I'm really liking what's there. I've just put in a link.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, Daphne, welcome. I just put in a link. It's to Angela Duckworth, which is where we got some of the information, but there's a really quick survey, and I encourage everyone just right now to take it. It's a bunch of radio buttons. There's 10 questions. And when you click get your score, it's just going to give you a score out of 5. And then you can just keep that browser page open later and go look at some of the information there if you wish. But it's kind of neat. It kind of gets you thinking. So just as we're chatting here, take your grit score and see if it surprises you. I was kind of pleased with mine, I have to say. I didn't do too bad. But it's kind of a little pulse check just to kind of see, where you are and what you think. But on that note, there's a bunch of characteristics that we also discovered in a lot of the research that Allison had pulled up. And so we thought we'd kind of just cover 5 main characteristics of grit and chat a little bit about it. And then we should have plenty of time to do some open networking here today and have everyone share your stories or tell us a bit more about your businesses or your organizations that you're with as appropriate. And again, this is very casual, flow in and out. If you need to leave for any reason, that's quite all right. And people are coming in and out here the whole time. So courage. So I've got courage up on the screen, and a few of you touched on that in the comments that you made around perseverance. and the courage to push past them. So Connie, you're coming clean here this morning. That was courage, right? It was, I'm ready to shut this down. I'm going to fake a cat crisis, and I'm not going to do it, but you step past it. You're on mute right now.
Sorry, the butterflies were bad, but sometimes you just got to. And I've been interviewing people journalistically, my God, since like say 1987, and I still get nervous even interviewing people, and I still get nervous when I write people's stories, because when you hit send and it goes to an editor and you lose control, that's hard sometimes, because you're trusting somebody else. And I think that's one of the reasons I like that I'm content writing now, because I have the control.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what I say, what I write is going to be what comes out, like whether the person uses it on their website or in I'm writing a training manual now for somebody, and I think that's a whole different way. And the pandemic actually worked for me in kind of a strange way. I was already working from home, so I was used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And because people went online, it kind of opened up different doors for me that I don't think would have been opened without the pandemic. Not that I want to keep the pandemic, but I think we're able to sometimes make make lemonade out of lemons. I'm a member of the Writers Alliance, which is a wonderful organization for writers. Love it. And we're doing an anthology of pandemic stories. We're all writing our experiences. And as we go through it, just the things that people went through and how they pivoted, and stories from parents who, had to take care of their kids, which I can't even imagine, and still work, and just that's courage too, like people who had to pivot with their businesses and just go curbside or just shelf everything. There's so much out there that we can say and talk about people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. I know when I did mine, my big story about the pandemic was about bacon. And the reason being, when the pandemic hit, I was already home. My husband's business shut, so he came home. My daughter came home, and the way we kind of, I guess, all came together to learn how to work together in a small house was over bacon. Bill would fry bacon every morning at 10:30, and we'd all get together and have a bacon sandwich. Now, 30 pounds later, I'm kind of glad everybody was going back to work. But do you know what I mean? And the smell of bacon still kind of brings me back to those first pandemic days. So I wrote a story about that, and just equating it to us all being together. So it's just, I think it's just what you make it, and having the courage to kind of turn everything around sometimes. And sometimes you're forced to, like when I lost my job. Sometimes it's just fun in those other opportunities, right?
Yeah. So Jeff's setting us up. We're all going to come to your place when the borders open for bacon.
No, I can't cook, but I can do bacon though. Bacon.
We'll put Bill on alert. Allison, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something about courage, and a few people have made some comments over in the chat section too about not being afraid to put yourself out there and to jump in the ring and to be seen and to speak up, and like Connie, overcoming your fears this morning and coming on and telling us your story. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Brene Brown, but she has some wonderful TED Talks and a new like documentary type show on Netflix, where she talks about those stories of bravery and courage and being vulnerable and how to really put yourself out there. She's a wonderful resource for anyone who's looking for some inspiration. I'll see if I can find a link or two to put over in chat about that as well.
Excellent, thank you. Terry Lynn's bringing the bacon now. I'm really going. It was farm fresh. So the second trait is conscientiousness. Intentional interactions and those can depend on you. And I think you touched on that. You get a repeat client, you get somebody who's putting their trust in you. And each of us as a business owner, those of us that are entrepreneurs here are developing that. That's to me, that was the wow factor too. It was the first time I left, and actually Terry Lynn was her organization that she works with beyond her business, was the first client I had. And I remember standing at the front of the room going, they're paying me for this. Holy crap. Like, this is not a salary. It's not just my job, right? And because when you work in, as a salary position, you just kind of do your job. But as a contractor, it was such a different feel to stand up in front of the room. And then when they pulled me aside and said, "Oh my gosh, you're doing a great job so far. We're so pleased." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is really cool." And, but because of that and that connection, they've welcomed me back several times. And so, I think part of it is that they realize they can depend on me, and we've created such a fabulous relationship. But certainly, being aware and having that whole shift, as Connie walked through as well, it is a different role. And I know there's several of you on here that are entrepreneurs by circumstance, not necessarily by choice. So Connie and I are not alone. I know Daphne, you're in the same situation, that recent changes into work environment has shifted you into exploring your own ventures. And so having that intention in our actions, I think, is really important, right? Endurance. There are a few on here that have been around for the long haul. There are some of you that have certainly stuck this out a lot longer than I've been involved in it. Anyone want to share about the endurance and how that's hit you in your business and how you're keeping going? Sharon, can I maybe pull on you? Because I know you shared with me in the fall that you were kind of almost having that crisis moment. Am I continuing this? Am I going on? And you're sticking it through. You're living endurance right now, I think.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol. No problem. I got to that point, and I thought I was going to have to stop doing what I was doing because the pandemic took my business. I'm a meditation instructor, and people want one-on-one, and so do I. I mean, I'm a hugger and a lover and all that thing, right? I'm a tree hugger. Everybody knows that. So when you can't do what you love and you're trying to reinvent yourself through social media, Zoom, and it's just not being, not working. But you keep plugging away, because even though I hit rock bottom, and I did, and Deborah, you can vouch for that, because Deborah Yowden, you're on the line there, and yourself and Carol and a few others with Enlow got together, Marvella, and said, Sharon, it's your choice ultimately. But, I feel from the training that I do and the resilience that I have, the foundation that I have through the practice, it allowed me to sit with all that crap that the pandemic was giving me. It was throwing it at me like it was throwing it at everybody else. So many things, but it allowed me to reinvent myself, and it gave me an opportunity to become stronger and to become grittier and funnier. And I realized that I need all of you people. Like, we're not in this alone. I really do need you, and I think my business probably wouldn't have flourished if I didn't reach out and look for support. And I'm back, and I'm stronger, and people are more receptive. Everybody needs this quiet solitude space, and my business is flourishing. Mm-hmm. So I'm so thankful. I don't want the COVID to stay now. We want that to go, buzz off, and everybody get vaccinated. However, it's had its good things.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Sharon. And I think probably you're right. We all have had some crisis at some point, whether it's through family or our own health scares, throughout this past year. But as business owners, and those of you that support us as business owners, I'm sure you've heard, so many stories from each of us that were, they're struggling. And even though I've been very fortunate in that my business has done well, it's still a very uncertain time. And like Sharon and Connie have said, we're seeing that we're going to shift out of this, and it is going to end at some point. But that also means then, what does business look like then? What is going to stay? What's going to be new? So this long haul that, you're in that for the long stretch, I think is really important as well.
And Carol, if I could add something else, yesterday I did a live stream with social workers. It's Social Work Month. And I mean, they do such valuable work throughout this pandemic and beyond. So they live streamed me from the Western Health across the island, and I did a meditation session with them. There's so many people that are trying to hang in there, and we've got the knot tied tight, but we are hanging in there. And this session on grit, I'm so glad to hear that coming. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Sharon, what you just spoke about, it hit a few chords with me, and just with the whole intention of having these sessions as well. Because one of the things, or maybe a misconception around grit sometimes, is that it's an individual thing, that it's all you're on your own, your head down, you're powering through. But I think if the pandemic has shown us anything, that grit and vulnerability and courage and the ability to reach out and to connect and to lean on your community is so important in getting through and in having grit. So coming together and speaking to each other and supporting one another is really vital, and it's not a weakness, it's a strength. And so that is part of this grit and this resilience as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Allison touched on earlier that we did offer a resilience workshop last spring, and it was sort of early days. And it was, it's all about how you handle setbacks. And several of you touched on that in the chat. And I'm going to pick on my friend Terry Lynn, because I was happy to see her register, because Terry Lynn, you attended that workshop with us in the spring, and you brought an interesting perspective from farmers that this is really your way of life, is around resilience. And how much it hits the agriculture industry that we don't often hear about. Would you mind sharing a little bit on that?
Sure. I think farmers live every day, trying to figure out ways to deal with things that are completely out of their control. Today it happens to be the pandemic, but normally it's Mother Nature, or the condition of your livestock, their health, and so many things. You just learn to go with the flow and bounce back whenever possible. And the pandemic was, and it still is, hard for everybody, but farmers are trying to navigate their way around as well, just like everybody else. And sometimes we often forget that farmers are business people as well. Mm-hmm. Farmers tend to even forget that they're business people as well. Carol and I have had this conversation many times. Farmers think of themselves as farmers and not necessarily business people. But they're a great group of people to look to and to learn from when it comes to trying to, build that quality or that character trait in business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. And it's so true. And recently, I don't know if anyone has seen, I know there's a few of you connected to Grenfell. Ivan Emke does a fabulous program. Fit to Eat, is it called? I think, Terry Lynn?
It is, yes. It's called Fit to Eat. Ivan's a fabulous person, a great friend, and this is his second season, and he's very excited to bring back the second season, and found a way. He was resilient, and he found a way to be able to do it through Zoom. The first season, he had a great time traveling all over the province, including up to all through Labrador, and he also included some sessions on his trip to Iceland. Of course, the pandemic hit and he wasn't able to do all those farm visits, so he was still able to do a full second season, and he's just starting to release it. So every week he releases a new episode. Mm-hmm. Where he has about a 30-minute conversation with a local farmer. So if you haven't checked it out, you really should find a way to check it out. Actually, I can put the link in the chat box there.
Allison just did.
Awesome, great. It really is a fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. I enjoy listening to everyone.
Yeah. So Terry Lynn was interviewed in season 1. I remember listening to her broadcast interview with him. But the most recent one was Andrew Wright. Here in Pasadena, and he talked about resilience, and Andy's journey is like most of us, is not straightforward. He grew up in a farming community, became an ordained minister, and then went back to the farming community. So with a couple side steps along the way. But, you know, certainly the theme of resilience you could hear in that one interview recently. And he was bagging carrots, and that was keeping him going that day that he was being interviewed. So excellent. Thank you, Terry Lynn. And the last one is excellence. And this one, I got to say my line that I always say when the word perfect comes up, and that some of you may have heard this before, but my daddy will tell you I'm perfect, but my mother and my husband will tell you otherwise. So I'm daddy's little girl. But I thought this was an interesting one when I read this, that we do often think of excellence as perfection, and we don't need to be perfect. I'm the first one to tell you I'm not perfect, but you know, even though daddy says I am. But you know, it's really interesting, I think, not to confuse those things and think, you know, we can do our best. And I don't know about you, but I know as a parent, when our children used to come to us with their marks at school and they're in university right now, it was always, did you try your best? Yes. Well, then I'm happy with the 70. You know, we're not looking for the 98s. You know, if you did everything you could, you tried your best, then that's all we can ever ask. And certainly when my older daughter went to Grenfell, we learned that 70 was the new 90. You know, it was about, it wasn't all about the high school grades anymore. It was, you're doing your best and you're getting through, then that's what we're looking for, right? So I think that's a really important piece to always keep in mind as well. Allison, adding on to the 5 main characteristics of grit, anything else you want to jump into?
Actually, just to follow up on what you were just saying, Carol, you know, I think also being honest about that with your clients throughout the pandemic and with the different struggles. And, you know, again, like Connie coming and saying, okay, full disclosure, this is how I was doing today. Like, I think if, you know, even if you're struggling, if you can have those honest, open conversations with your clients and let them know, you know, we're striving to do our best. We, you know, we've got your best interests at heart. We really care. That no matter what the struggles are, they're going to be more supportive than if you don't disclose that information. I think letting them know that you're, you know, that you're really putting your heart and soul into it is what's going to keep them loyal to you, regardless of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Teresa, you've put a really powerful comment in there about how hard it is to accept. Do you want to add on to that at all? I think accepting that we're not perfect is hard. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's taken Carol 2 years to convince me to sit here and join in. I don't know if I consider what I do really a business. I crochet. I'm sitting here right now with my hook, and people have ordered things. So somebody wants a hat, I'll do it. Scarf, you know, things like that. And for me, it's like, well, what if they don't like these colors? What if they see a mistake? What if I make a mistake? And I just have to realize that I've done my best with whatever product I complete. I'm very proud of the product, but then comes that little bit of insecurity of, okay, I like it, but are they going to like it? Are they going to give it as the gift they want to? Are they going to wear it? Whatever. And I have to give up that control, because once it leaves my basket next to my couch and is out there, then I no longer have any control over what it was and what I did with it. And that's a big step for me. I'm always wondering, did they like it? Is it any good? Things like that. Did they notice that I did something wrong here, that I miscounted the number of colors or whatnot? And I just have to get over the fact that if it's not perfect, if it, you know, if it's completed, then I have to accept that and let them, you know, let it go out there, and hopefully it's okay. But that's a very hard part for me, because it's coming from these, you know, it's something I've created, whether it's a pattern I found or modified or whatever. It's still something that really comes from me, and for me it's okay, but is it okay for everybody else? I think that's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, excellent. Janice, was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, because you're an artist yourself, and wonder if that kind of resonates with you.
Well, I certainly do understand, Teresa, that feeling of not getting it perfect every time. But I think that I've learned, one of the things I did last year for myself was to do a daily sketch. And it's really helped me in terms of looking back at over 300 days of sketching to see how much better I got just because I persevered with that every day. And none of them are perfect, and I can find faults with all of those sketches, but it really helped me to just keep at it. And I think that's a big part of grit that we sometimes forget, that you just have to keep at it and not focus on, I didn't do it right this time, just move on. And that's really helped me a lot. And I think that even for the three of us working at product for the shop, we tend to be very hard on ourselves. And it's very helpful to have partners or mentors who say to you, oh, I really liked that piece, or I see something in here that's really good. Maybe you could work a bit more.
I think she froze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Janice just froze up a little bit, but certainly we're getting that gist of it. I'm wondering, Liz, you just popped on your camera. You've just started a new business and you're very creative as well. Is this kind of hitting home to you?
Yes, and actually, I've been making jewelry since 2013,
Okay.
and it's taken me quite a few years to find kind of my place in it, and learning how to stay true to what I do and to myself. Never mind what people around me are saying. What I do is not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. And not going out and spending my time trying to please everybody who comes around, but staying true to my brand, to what is my passion, and perfecting that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I kind of put this up as a summary statement. Sorry, Janice, we lost you for a little bit.
I'm not sure where I went, but
Yeah, sometimes the camera takes up a bit, but I just kind of threw up a quote from one of the pieces of research that Allison came across. And I thought this was interesting too. It's not something that we're born with, but grit is certainly something we can work on. And I thought that was kind of an interesting piece as well. And the last line really resonated with me, having confidence in being able to bounce back. And many of you touched on that in some of your comments in chat, and even just the pieces of story that each of you have shared, is that, there is going to be, there is going to be a roadblock at some point. And if you go into it confident that, yeah, I'm going to be able to either jump over it, plow around it, whatever that kid's song was, can't go over it, can't go under it, got to go through it. Sometimes that's what we end up doing for sure. So I think I thought this kind of quote was a nice way to kind of summarize some of the things that we talked about here today. So anybody do the grit score? Anybody surprised, shocked, pleased? Did you like that little quick assessment? If you haven't done it, the link is still there in chat. You can always do that a little bit later. I got 3.9 out of 5, so I thought that was pretty good. I felt pretty proud about that. So like Daddy says, he might think I'm perfect. I'm not, but I got some room to grow, which is always good. So that's kind of our little teaser on grit. So again, we're looking, either send Allison and I a note or pop a thing in chat if you think this would be a topic that we should expand into more of a full-on workshop piece. And fortunately, because of funding, Navigate is usually able to offer that free of charge to our community. So we'll work on getting that if you think there's an interest in that, and we can go from there. So I'm going to touch on just a couple things that are coming up from Navigate, and then I want to open it up to the floor to ask everyone to share a bit about your businesses or your organization. And I've just popped the link back in chat again for the GRIT assessment if anybody's interested. So Allison, very proud of you folks. You've worked really, really hard to launch your new Navigate website. So encourage all of you. She's put it in chat as well. Encourage everyone to check out the new Navigate website. I think one of the biggest resources is similar to Enlo. There's also a directory, a business directory on there. And all you have to do is contact Allison with your business name, a little description, your info, and your logo, and they'll very happily put you up on their ecosystem directory. And I know they sent it to me first for proofreading to make sure it all looked good. So.
And send us your social media links and everything as well, because we can link those all in. And basically, the setup is you've got a logo block for your business. You click on that, and then it goes in, and you have your own page with your information about your business, and people can go and link to your various websites, social media feeds, your contact info, etc. So we really want to support local, and we encourage you to also check out all the other businesses that are in the directory and to support one another. A few other things about the website. There's a whole host of tools and resources that you can use if you're starting a business, if you're growing a business. There's pretty much everything you could need to start a business from A to Z. So feel free to browse those resources and reach out to me if you would like to set up a meeting or have any questions. We also have an ecosystem map that basically shows all of the different resources and support organizations that are out there to help you. And it's like a subway map. If you click on each of the subway stops, you'll get a description of what supports that organization provides. And you can also go directly to their different websites. So it's kind of a one-stop shop where everything is condensed there for you. And it's a pretty great tool to be able to connect with all of the different resources you need. And then there's also events, videos of sessions like this. Lots of other resources, podcasts, books, recommended reading, etc., and information, of course, on all of our services.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, can I ask a question about that? This is Jeff, by the way. Can I ask a quick question about that?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm only in the early stages of my business, I guess you could say. As you know, I work with the NLWIC, but I also do some side gig stuff off the side of my desk. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, is this only for registered businesses, or like I've got my name, I've got my logo and contact information, social media, all of that information. I'm just wondering, would that be something I could put there as well to make contacts, or would you guys prefer it be registered businesses?
No, absolutely. And I mean, if you're setting up as a solopreneur and whatnot as well, absolutely start. We can help you. We can help you get that off the ground. And this is an opportunity to make those connections and to move forward. So, feel free to send that to me, Jeff.
Okay, you'll get an email from me shortly.
All right, excellent.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Navigate is fantastic at promoting and supporting and using that ecosystem and try to build it. And that's part of these connections that we have, certainly trying to give everyone an opportunity. So on that note, what I'd like to do is open it up to anyone who wants to kind of tell us what's going on in your organization or who you are, because we haven't had a chance for everyone to introduce. I know many of you have put it in chat. Thank you, Lana, for joining. Lana popped into chat to say she's retiring from Government of Newfoundland and Labrador at the end of the month. So congratulations, Lana. We wish you all the best on that. And we're so happy that you're able to join us today. And maybe one day we'll see you as an entrepreneur on these sessions as well. So all the best to you at the end of the month. I'm going to go pop around on the list. I'm going to start at the bottom. Terry Lynn, you're at the bottom. Do you want to talk about your box program that's back? What's going on, who you are and where you are?
Sure. So Terry Lynn Robbins and my husband and I own Robbins Family Farm here in Deer Lake. And So 10 years ago, we've actually been here now. This is our 10th growing season. And when we first came here, it was we grew flowers. And of course, we've evolved and evolved and diversified, and now we grow no flowers. And the pandemic sort of forced our hand at making the decision to no longer grow flowers and to just focus on food production. And so we now grow all of our own vegetables, and we have a petting farm. We are the only registered petting farm on the west coast of Newfoundland. And we do a lot of children's programs like Farm Camp for Kids, which has become incredibly popular. And we're in our 5th year of Farm Camp. And we are, last year, with the pandemic, not knowing if we were going to be able to do Farm Camp or not, I knew I had to replace that income if the pandemic was going to determine that we could not have Farm Camp and have small gatherings. And so I was inspired by the HelloFresh program up in Ontario and did a little bit of research on what was going on here in Newfoundland. And there's a lot of CSA programs here. But knowing that we also produce all of our own beef and pork, we wanted to do something a little bit different than a regular community supported agriculture program. And so we created our Fresh Food Box program, which is a little bit of a twist. We have laying hens as well. So we have in our program, we include a dozen farm fresh eggs and a meat of the week, which could be beef and pork, or it could be lamb or whatever. So whatever we choose that week. And then we also have vegetables. We had such a fabulous response that we decided to take it one step further last year, and we decided that it was not just important for us, but we wanted to also highlight all of the other farms in the Humber Valley. And so we included, each week we include something from other farms as well. So if you had our Fresh Food Box program last year, then you would have had iceberg lettuce, which we didn't grow, from Wright's Farm, or you could have had carrots. You mentioned Andy's carrots. So, for the last 7 weeks of our program, we included a bag of their carrots each week. We included honey from Cormac Bee Company. We included goat cheese from 8th Day Acres up in Cormac as well. And we included lamb sausages from another farmer. And, so we wanted to show people where their food comes from, but from a space of about 50 kilometers. So it was really successful. And this year we actually upped our own production with meat as well as vegetables, and we have doubled our numbers from last year. So as of today, we are sold out, and very exciting stuff to come. So yeah,
that's fantastic.
Jeff, my farm camp is probably about 3/4 full as well, so that's exciting.
Oh, that's fantastic too. Jeff, I think you were on the other day looking for box delivery, so maybe you can connect with Terry Lynn. It's not quite the HelloFresh, but it's a different type of box delivery.
Well,
that'd be great.
This year we're actually including recipe cards every week as well. So.
Oh, that sounds perfect. That's right what I'm looking for.
Jeff was on Facebook looking for that.
A little bit.
Good stuff. Jeff, do you want to tell people who you are?
Yeah, sure. As I was saying just now, I actually primarily work with the Newfoundland Labrador Workforce Innovation Center. But a couple of years ago, I tried to get a small business off the ground. Some of you know me. I know Allison knows me fairly well, and she knows I'm a big geek. I like science fiction and Star Trek and Star Wars and comic books and all that kind of stuff. And I tried to get a small business off the ground around that, mainly a comic book store / meeting area / gaming hub for people in the area. It didn't go as well as I'd planned. There wasn't as much interest in that as I thought there was, so I kind of abandoned that. But last year I started doing some website and social media consulting, content creation, presentations, basically some desktop publishing, that kind of stuff, as a side gig to generate a little more income. And I've actually gained a couple of clients, about 5 clients now doing that. So I'm looking at possibly expanding that in the near future, with regards to especially social media content creation, website content creation, not so much the development anymore, more the creative side, as opposed to the technical side. So, I'd offer services like domain name procurement, suggestions for your domain name, web hosting, getting the proper template in place for your small business, helping you create the content, get images. And if anybody wants to take a look at a couple of my sites that I've helped develop, one is Western Lock, here on Humber Road in Corner Brook, so westernlock.ca, and another one is endurancefitnessstudio.com in St. John's. And oh, that's my mother calling there now. I can put her on hold.
That's all right.
And I'm working on one right now as well for a client, and I'm helping him with not just his website and social media, but any other graphics and branding that he needs to do. So I'm kind of a one-person branding agency, digital marketing, digital assets. I do PowerPoint presentations as well for anybody who might need help with that. You name it. If it's me sitting in front of a computer, I'm doing it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So glad you could join us today. Now you got a new connection with Terry Lynn.
Yes.
So this is all good.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Hillary, do you want to say a quick hello? Because this is your first time joining us on one of these sessions.
Yes, yep. I do have to head out in a minute after that.
Okay.
I am an entrepreneurship advisor with the Atlantic Canada Study and Stay program. So basically, the program's aimed at keeping international students in Newfoundland. And it takes place all across Atlantic Canada, but Newfoundland has a specific focus on entrepreneurship. So I've been trying to get more involved in the entrepreneurship community to build up my network and be able to get to know what other people are doing in the province. So I'm working there, and I'm also working with Co-Housing NL, which is a startup in St. John's, looking to create a community-led development here. So I'm helping them with their business development. So that's what I'm doing.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for Connie for sharing, and to you and Allison as well. Looking forward to the next one.
Excellent. Thank you. Deborah, this is your first time jumping on, I think, one of our coffee breaks. Do you want to say a quick hello from St. John's?
Sure. Yes, it is my first time, Carol, and thank you very much. And it's wonderful to see everyone that I've met before, and lovely to meet a new group as well. So this has been really good. And I must say, I love grit and stick-to-itiveness. There's a lot to be said, and a lot of the comments and everything really resonated. Anyway, a little bit about my background. I've been a consultant for I guess maybe close to 30 years. I started off with food education and marketing, and that kind of morphed more into the international world. And in recent years, I've been the consultant for Enlo for their export development program. So for businesses that are looking to grow locally, provincially, nationally, internationally, that's where Enlo hones its skills. And the international part is what I work in, but I work very closely with a lot of the other advisors as well, be it startup or business growth advisors, because sometimes when you're thinking about going elsewhere, looking for new customers and new markets, then it's good to start early and think about that. So that's a little bit of where I come from. Anyway, this has been marvelous, and it's wonderful to meet everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. So talking about grit with Deb, Daphne, Janice, and I just completed an 8-week program with Deb on Gateway to Trade, looking to export. I can tell you week 1, I thought I was in the wrong spot. I don't know what I signed up for. Week 2, I still didn't think I belonged there. But by week 3, I was starting to say, okay, this might work. And yesterday I submitted my homework, which was my export plan. So it took a while to get through that program, but Deb and the facilitator who talk about the virtual space, she was joining us from Barbados and leading us through the workshop. So the whole world has changed, but I think I used some grit the last 8 weeks, Deborah, to get through that program.
I'm sure, Carol. I think a lot of us did. And congratulations on the submission. That's amazing.
Yes, I was so happy yesterday.
That-
Daphne, I'll jump to you because you were in that program with me as well. Do you want to let folks know who you are?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Some of you may already met me at other events, and nice to see everybody again. Happy Friday to you. My background has been in credit and collection for the past 30 years, working for large organizations such as LG Electronics, Siemens, Bosch and Lomb. Most recently here in Newfoundland, I was recruited to Newfoundland by a company called Inmersat, used to be called Stratus, to run their Americas and Latin America collection department, basically ensure that they get paid on time. I'm very passionate about relationships, and I've been successful in really connecting with customers and letting them understand the importance of paying on time, and at the same time helping my employer ensure that cash flow is constantly moving and they get paid. They get paid on time so they can pay their bills on time and go to business. I lost my job in the end of November, and I decided to stay in Newfoundland because I absolutely love Newfoundland, and so far it's working for me. So what I'm trying to do is help small and large, any size organization with their cash flow and with collection on their receivables. I'm working with a company that is an artificial intelligence organization that helps companies actually take the manual process of accounts receivable and put it into an artificial intelligent business machine learning on how your customers pay you, and that is extremely important in getting to know your customer, how your customer pays, and also cash forecasting is very important. It's very difficult things for a lot of people to do. So that's what my background is. Recently, I'm looking at multiple stream of income, but recently, I've always loved cooking, and I come from Israel, so I've been feeding all my friends around me, and everybody's telling me, Daphne, you got to try and offer it as a business. The other day, my friend who's a lawyer works on Harvey Road. I said to her, "Do you have lunch today?" She said, "No, I don't." I said, "Don't worry about it. I made shawarma on the weekend, and I made my own hummus and my own Israeli salad, and I made a beautiful dish." And she just came back, "Daphne, you got to do this." So that's another thing in my mind right now. Is any of you in St. John's and you want a nice meal and Middle Eastern meal, and apparently everybody loves it. So I'm here for that as well. So if any of you are interested, that's something I'm looking into doing. And I think, so I think people will enjoy it. So I'm all about working with people, helping people, and just enjoying life at the same time.
Excellent, thank you. Lindsay, do you want to say a quick hello?
Hi, sorry, I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself.
That's okay.
I apologize for not having my video on. My internet has been a little bit slow today, and I just wanted to kind of keep my bandwidth.
Absolutely.
But it's a pleasure to meet you all and to hear from you folks. So I'm actually not an entrepreneur. I did have a business back when I was in high school, a little baking business, just to try to create some money to put myself through university. But that was only back in high school. And now I'm working full-time at Skills Canada. So that's kind of where my interest in entrepreneurship comes from. So I'm the Entrepreneur Project Coordinator. And essentially my role is to partner with the NL Association of CBDCs and try and chat with youth about the opportunities available through entrepreneurship within skilled trades and technologies. So we go into high schools, junior highs, virtually now, of course, and chat with them about what it looks like to create a business plan. And we also chat with apprentices at the College of the North Atlantic and other colleges around Newfoundland about what it looks like, again, to open a business within their specific skilled trade or technology. So it's been really great for me to hear all of your stories this morning. I like to join these kinds of calls to hear from entrepreneurs and hear about their stories, just so that, you know, I can kind of give some insight to those students when I'm chatting with them. But yeah, thank you for having me, Carol.
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. Glad you were able to make it. Shelley, do you want to say a few words from Labrador?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Shelley Cleary. Actually, some of you might know me. Hi, Tierlyn. I'm the ADO with the province, so I work with farmers and that assist. I guess I'm like the frontline contact for the agriculture industry in the region. But on the side, so over the last number of years, I've been working on a lot of different projects. I did licensed childcare for a number of years. I had Shelley Specialties, a little small business that did a lot of baked goods and preserves for a number of years and crafts. And I guess after so many years of that, I've decided that I wanted to try to reduce the workload, but still have an impact and still try to use what I can do and still express myself. So right now I have a couple of beehives, I have my own chickens, and from all of that, I've decided to start creating a line of all natural and sustainable soaps, lip balms, creams, foot creams. I do natural dog treats with my chickens once they've expended their life. And yeah, so I'm developing on that. I just released my website yesterday. So that took a bit of time to develop it. And I just went through Shopify. But I really like these type of online things. For one, I'm up here in Labrador, so as much resources as we do have here, and I'm so happy for that, there's not as much as seems like what there would be offered, you know, on the island. And now with this whole COVID thing, this is the only way to do it. So this is what I'll do. But yeah, so this is where I'm at right now. We're still probably got about 4 or 5 feet of snow out there. I'm planning on going ice fishing the weekends because it's supposed to go to +8, and we'll see where the summer brings me. Terry Lynn had mentioned Cormac Bee Company. They're a really good friend of mine as well, and I've partnered with them on a lot of my bee supplies because my hives are just not up to capacity yet. But they've been very supportive, and I think it's really important, especially right now, to create really good working relationships with other businesses, local businesses. So as much as I need to, you know, source some supplies and stuff from elsewhere, I've really been reaching out to the local community and utilizing some of their products or raw materials that I can incorporate into what I currently have and what I can currently offer. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And welcome. So glad you're able to join us. Feel free to put your website over in chat, your new website, and we'll get that shared out for you.
Sure. And feel free to connect with me if you'd like to be involved in the business directory as well.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be in touch for that.
Perfect.
Excellent. So Teresa, you touched on that you're crocheter, but you last, as an afterthought, put your business name in chat. So just let everyone know that she's with Teresa's Tangles.
Yeah, sitting here listening, sometimes I feel like, am I really an entrepreneur, a business owner? All I do is, you know, sit with a ball of wool and a hook and create something. But yeah, I started a few years ago. Somebody asked if I could do a hat, so I did it, and I feel like I've come a long way through word of mouth and Facebook, and like Carol just mentioned, on Facebook, Teresa's Tangles, and that spread word of mouth. I actually took a big leap last month and went to Staples and created some business cards. So kind of official instead of printing them off myself. And I just take, if somebody asks me something, I think before Christmas, somebody sent me a picture and said, can you make one of these? And if it's a small blanket, but it's going to have a stuffed animal, they're called Lovey security blankets. And I said, I don't know, give me the picture and let me see. And now I think that one I just showed you is my 8th one since November. You know, put it out there and people just get excited and want to see it. So I've been really busy since Christmas, a lot busier than I was before. So I've taken my hobby and it gives me a little bit of extra that if I want to go out and buy something extra that I normally wouldn't treat myself with, I'm now able to do it, being a retired substitute teacher. So it's just, it's still fun. it hasn't become a job and a lot of heavy work. Like, oh my God, I have to do this for somebody, so I don't want to do it. It's still fun because if I don't want to take something on, if I feel it's too big, then I can make that decision. So that's where I am. And it took 2 years to convince me that I actually probably am a business person because I, exchange goods for money. So I've never looked at it. To me, it's just a hobby.
Well, everyone's here to support you for sure. Allison, you wanted to jump in there?
Just on that note, our next entrepreneur ecosystem section is going to be on the side hustle, which is, I would say, what your business is. So you might want to join us for that one and let people know.
Excellent. I'm just running down through my list. El Madden. El Madden is a international student who is actually my mentee in the Study and Stay program that Hillary mentioned. El Madden, do you want to say a quick hello?
Oh, yes. It's real nice to see everyone here. A lot of unfamiliar faces for me. And it's really good opportunity for networking as well, as you mentioned. I'm actually not an entrepreneur. I'm rather a young researcher, I will say. I'm doing a Master of Arts in Environmental Policy program at Grenfell. I am actually working on I'm trying to explore the innovation systems in Newfoundland. And I would say I'm fairly new to Newfoundland. I didn't have any opportunity to much explore the entrepreneurship opportunities here, but really interested in them. And I had an opportunity through 2 different internships to work for Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill for innovation projects, kind of trying to measure the feasibility of using their waste heat for the greenhouse production for the Corner Brook. So I think, that's all what I wanted to share for now.
No, that's excellent. Thank you. Frank is on the call, but he's doing double duty because he's at his day job, which is forester in central Newfoundland. So I'm not going to ask him to speak here.
Well,
but he's been,
well, actually, Connie, well, it's lunchtime, so I figured I muted that one. So it is a challenging time this time of year. And so I guess just as a quick, my name is Frank Scared, and yes, I'm full-time employed with the provincial government. I'm a district manager in the central area. I guess that's what pays the mortgage, and you have to honor your commitments there, but it's these other things that seem to be more interesting. And hi, Connie, I haven't seen you in a long time. Basically, I'm a member of the Halibu First Nation. I'm on the council of the Halibu First Nation, and we have a very, I'll call it aggressive support of membership in entrepreneurship and things of this nature. Whenever I can get an opportunity to kind of, hear from others, and also, we promote ourselves as we're looking for partners. We're open for business. Now we have a certain worldview that doesn't necessarily share with that everybody shares, but really it kind of comes down to be of a very strong focused on community, environmental sustainability, things of this nature, which really is a core value of us all. Just sometimes people put a bit of a different lens on it, but we all want to protect the environment and support our communities and grow our individual and community sustainability and economic opportunities. So I think we have more shared values than a lot of times people feel. And I guess besides that, I've become something that I didn't think, and it's a very strong advocate for community service development, and especially in a social procurement, social enterprise type of way. I guess I'm a capitalist in my core values, so sometimes that doesn't. But some of these things that it needs to be done in a social enterprise type of thing, and it's the same skills that I've learned from people here. Like when you talk grit, I've learned that trying to develop a new social enterprise, not-for-profit in the town of Gander, it takes same skills that I hear from people here, and to some extent, you're often wondering, well, where will you find your volunteers or your supporters? And I never really thought about in the entrepreneur world, but as I listened to you guys here today, I kind of said, wow, it's the same passion, the same skills. So, I guess we all learn every time we talk to others. And so that's my takeaway today, that like to some extent, the passion and the commitment to your business and to your own communities, and like when you hear from like new Canadians that like, you lose your job. I think I can't pronounce your name, Daphna, but you chose to stay in this community and develop other economic opportunities, and you know what? I add a word that is not so popular. I usually say this, and I say it to my daughters who are adults now, but I says like, you go girl, like you keep going, because that's what this place needs. Never, never, never give up, no matter what your passion is. So anyway, I said way too much. Anyway, thank you, Carol and Allison, for making these things happen.
Thank you, Frank. I get random phone calls from Frank when he's on the road and he's bored and he picks my brain. So I often get calls from Frank with a few off the wall ideas, but we make things work. Liz, you touched briefly that you make some jewelry, but do you want to tell everyone a bit more about your business and where you are?
Sure. Sorry, I turn off my webcam too. I live up in Cormac, and especially when the weather is not great, it's internet can be spotty here at times. So, but yeah, I've been making jewelry since 2013, and that has taken on a vastly different look from then. And so this past year, pandemic wise for me, it didn't really affect my business in the sense of losing business, but it helped me redefine what exactly I'm doing and where I'm going. And so we have a full website now. It's up and running, and I've watched my jewelry travel as far as the US and the UK, which has been amazing. And I've also started to wholesale this year, and we've had some really big wholesale orders from different places as far as New Brunswick. So it's been really interesting to watch it grow. And we have a few other businessy things kind of in the background right now that we've been working on. Been doing a lot of work behind the scenes this year with Cormac Bee Company. We actually released a line of jewelry in partnership with them, all about bees, which was really fun. And so I've been working a lot with them, and working into helping develop more of the agricultural sector within Cormac and small business, and partnering with different companies. So yeah, we're getting ready to launch our own agricultural business here. So that's been extremely time consuming the last little while, but it's really cool to be able to contribute to, the Newfoundland, and to, find niches within, the community that, isn't there yet. And it amazes me of how much business is available here within our own community, that you don't have to go far to develop business and to develop partnerships. And so that's been really fun and really interesting. And yeah, I've met some really good contacts and support along the way. So yeah, that's where we're going.
Excellent. And name your business. You didn't tell us the name.
So Sea Salt and Twig Designs is my jewelry design, and we are about to launch our I guess agricultural side, which is going to be Forest Garden Acres. So that's going to be launching this year. So yeah, so it's going to be busy and fun.
Excellent. Thank you. So glad you could join us today.
Thanks, Carol.
Thanks. And I have some of those bee earrings. I got the bee earrings as a Valentine's gift from hubby at the local market fair up in Deer Lake on a stormy day. But
Yes.
pick me up some beer. I can't wait to wear them next time I do work with the Newfoundland Labrador Beekeepers Association.
Yeah. Liz, please do send along the information about your businesses so we can get those on the directory.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Janice, you shared some stuff with us earlier, but we didn't give you a chance to tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Thanks, Carol. I'm going to leave my camera off because things are going much better without. My name is Jan, and with my husband Roy and our business partner Blake Mills, we run the Roost at York Harbor, which is a small gift shop. Well, it's smallish. It's getting bigger all the time. Specialize in Newfoundland crafts and art. We're trying to keep all of our stock to Newfoundland made products. And I guess what the pandemic did for us last year, because we're so dependent on tourists for our primary customers, what the pandemic did for us was push us a little quicker towards getting an online store established. And since December, we've been working on actually getting a new website with more products and rebranding our brand with a new logo. So within the next month or so, we're hoping to launch that. And as Carol mentioned, she and Daphne and several other people, and I took a course offered by Enlo this January, February, and we're looking at expanding our online store, possibly to reach the United States and maybe eventually overseas. So that's been a really interesting experience. I think I kind of felt like Carol did along the way, a little overwhelmed, but I don't have my export plan done, Carol, but I'm hoping in the next succeed at doing that. And it's nice meeting everyone here this morning, and thank you for the opportunity to chat.
Thank you, Janice. Oluwashina, you've joined partway through. I don't know if you want to say a quick hello to everyone and let us know who you are. Your little control panel is probably collapsed over to the side. There's a little thin, if you just click on the arrow, there you go. You got your microphone now.
Sorry, my bad. My name is Oluwashina Ayla. I'm an international student of Greenfall Campus, Connaught Memorial University, and also a master's student in Dr. Raymond Thomas Lab. I am of a science background and origin, and so technically I'll say I just got introduced into entrepreneurship, and thanks to Allison who was here. We're working on developing some functional food product with fantastic health benefit, which has been proven and can still be proved over and over again if the need be. And we're looking forward to developing and marketing, and also getting it across shelves in Canada. And like I said, I'm just new. I'm coming all the way from the science side into the entrepreneurship. And with the help of Allison, it's been pretty tough because I know this is going to be a very, very, very hectic journey. But I'm here to learn. I'm open to the task, and it's glad to be here to listen to people who have been doing it. So that's just the basic.
Excellent. So you most likely know my daughter, Heather.
Are you? Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. Yes.
As soon as you said Dr. Thomas, I'm like, yep, you know Heather then.
I would never think, my God. Yes, she is. She's a colleague in the lab, and she's an amazing person. Very, very fantastic. She's my run-to person anyways. And it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, my daughter is also working under Dr. Raymond Thomas, but she's not in the food side. She's studying the spruce budworm and the impact on the forest. And she's hopefully finishing up her master's soon.
I'm hoping that for her too.
Yep. I think I've run through everyone. So I just want to touch on, Allison has alluded to a couple things that are happening. Our next coffee break is April 15th. Registration is open. Allison's just put a link in chat, and that's on the side hustle. So we've got a couple people lined up that are going to talk about it, but also for those of you on here who are doing a side hustle, if you want to be one of our panelists, please feel free to do so. New event coming up next week, top 10 legal considerations with Dr. Jacqueline Walsh, who formerly worked at Grenfell and is now over at with the Schulich School of Law. I can tell you from personal experience going through a startup weekend, Jackie is fantastic. She knows a lot about intellectual property. She knows, searching up your trade name and all kinds of different pieces. So especially for those of you that are still in early stages, I would recommend you connect with Jackie at that session, and registration's there. And as always, Allison is fantastic at promoting us as entrepreneurs. So if you've got an event, if you've got something that you just need to get out there, they've got a newsletter, just let Allison know, tag her on a Facebook post, she'll share it again. Really, Navigate's been such a valuable support, as have so many agencies, the provincial government, NLO. There's so many different organizations that support us as entrepreneurs, and connecting with one another is such a wonderful thing. I'll just do a little bit on my own. April 22nd, I'm having my quarterly community connection, which is geared for the not-for-profit sector. So if you either support or work or sit on a board or volunteer for someone in the not-for-profit sector, then please feel free. It's a free event. It's my quarterly event that I give back to the community. So that's happening April 22nd, and you can find that on my website or Facebook. Allison, last words to you. Another fantastic session from my perspective.
Yeah, no, it was great. Thank you all so much for joining us today, for sharing your stories, for jumping in the ring, putting yourselves out there, and for supporting one another. And thank you, Carol, as always, for being an exceptional facilitator. And I don't know, I'm going to lean on your dad's side and say, it might not be perfect, but it's pretty darn close. We're very fortunate at Navigate to have this partnership with Carol. She's been through the journey and can speak to it, and is just really supportive and fantastic, particularly in this virtual space that we're all finding ourselves in, which is old hat for you, Carol. You've been doing this for a while. But again, everyone, I encourage you, please reach out, connect with me if there's any way that we can support you, if we can promote your businesses, if you're at a crossroads and aren't sure where to go next. I mean, by all means, do reach out. We're here to help, and we've got an extensive network to help with all the different supports that you might need. As Carol mentioned, we do have some events coming up. The legal one with Dr. Jackie Walsh, if you can attend, it's going to be a really good event. And of course, our next coffee break. And let people know, that this happens every month. It's been shown that robust entrepreneur ecosystems are ones that have entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs and supporting entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs support other local businesses, and they buy from each other, and they promote one another. And it's so important to become a part of that community, and really that's how we're going to grow business here locally, is by doing it together, not separately. So thank you for coming and connecting and sharing and supporting one another.
Absolutely, I echo that, and it's one of the things Allison and I talk about is when we see those synergies happening live in front of us, like Jeff and Terry Lynn here now today. It's so exciting. And I know myself that I have actually I can attribute directly work to attending events and networking with others. So I can speak to it from experience as well on that end of it. So thank you, everyone. Have yourselves a fantastic afternoon and weekend. And we'll hopefully see you in a month if we don't see you earlier. So take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Happy spring.
Yes. Happy spring. Happy spring.
Bye.